During WWF's Golden Era, when heavyweight superstars like Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and the Ultimate Warrior dominated the spotlight, there was another crucial force driving the boom of that iconic period: the mid-card wrestlers. They weren't always in the main event, but they were the ones who elevated the overall quality of the shows, delivering exciting, intense, and unforgettable matches. From heated rivalries over the Intercontinental Championship to personal feuds filled with drama, these wrestlers wrote an essential chapter in WWF history. Today, we're taking a trip down memory lane to honor those legendary names. Let's dive right in. Wrestling Sphere, go! Mr. Perfect, the mid-card king of absolute excellence. When talking about the greatest mid-card wrestlers of WWF's Golden Age, you can't overlook Curt Hennig, the man who left an indelible mark under the legendary moniker Mr. Perfect. That nickname wasn't given by chance. It perfectly reflected the image Hennig projected: a man who could do everything with flawless precision, from hitting perfect suplexes to shooting basketballs, throwing footballs, and even stylishly snapping his chewing gum. Before arriving in WWF in 1988, Hennig had already made a name for himself in the American Wrestling Association, AWA, where he held the World Heavyweight Championship under the mentorship of the legendary Vern Gagne. This impressive resume immediately caught Vince McMahon's attention, who saw the potential to craft a unique character, a wrestler with both elite technical skill and the arrogant aura of someone who never makes a mistake. Right after his debut, Mr. Perfect quickly established himself with a long winning streak, defeating notable names like Jimmy Snuka, Coco B. Ware, and Tito Santana. Within a year, Hennig had risen to become one of the top mid-card stars. The turning point came in late 1989, when he entered a heated feud with WWF champion Hulk Hogan at house shows. Although he didn't capture the title, standing toe-to-toe with the Hulkster proved that Perfect had what it took to compete at the highest level. His golden opportunity arrived in 1990 when Ultimate Warrior vacated the Intercontinental Championship. A tournament was held to crown a new champion, and Curt Hennig emerged victorious, becoming the face of WWF's most prestigious mid-card title. With exceptional in-ring ability, he successfully defended the belt against tough challengers, cementing his image as a complete champion. One of the most iconic moments of Mr. Perfect's career was his match against Bret the Hitman Hart at SummerSlam 1991. It wasn't just a phenomenal performance, it became one of the most celebrated Intercontinental Championship matches in WWF history, a timeless masterpiece that still resonates with fans today. Unfortunately, serious back injuries forced Hennig to step back from active competition. After losing the IC title to Bret Hart, he transitioned into a backstage role, becoming Ric Flair's manager and continuing to contribute his intelligence and experience to WWF even when he wasn't regularly competing. Rick Rude, the ravishing rebel with iron ambition. If Mr. Perfect embodied perfection, then Ravishing Rick Rude was all about seductive charisma, arrogant swagger, and provocative showmanship. During WWF's Golden Era, Rude wasn't just a skilled mid-card wrestler. He was an entertainment icon who blended power with audacious personality. Rude joined WWF in July 1987 and quickly became part of the Heenan family, a stable of top wrestlers managed by the brilliant Bobby Heenan. With his chiseled physique, long curly hair, and flirtatious antics aimed at female fans, Rude drew both admiration and scorn from the crowd. But beneath the flashy exterior was a technically gifted performer capable of hanging with anyone in the ring. The feud that truly propelled Rude's career was against Jake, the Snake, Roberts. During matches and promos, Rude shamelessly flirted with Roberts' wife, even printing her face on his wrestling tights. This provocative act sparked one of the most intense rivalries of the 1980s. The shocking moment when an enraged Roberts stripped Rude's tights in front of a live audience became both humiliating for Rude and one of the most memorable scenes of the era, ironically boosting his fame even further. Rude's peak came at WrestleMania V in 1989, when he stunned the world by defeating Ultimate Warrior to capture the Intercontinental Championship. At the time, Warrior was undefeated and considered an unstoppable force, making Rude's victory one of the most shocking upsets of the period. This win not only earned him gold but also solidified his status as one of WWF's elite mid-card stars. Even after eventually losing the title back to Warrior, Rick Rude remained a major name in WWF. When Warrior moved up to the World Championship scene, Rude was chosen as one of his top challengers, proving how highly regarded he was by both management and fans. Unfortunately, by the end of 1990, escalating disagreements with Vince McMahon led Rude to leave the company. Yet, for fans of the Golden Era, the image of a cocky, charismatic, and ambitious Rick Rude lives on as an unforgettable part of WWF history. Jake Roberts, the master of ring psychology. When it comes to the greatest mid-card wrestlers of WWF's Golden Era, it's impossible not to mention Jake, the Snake, Roberts. He never held a world championship, nor did he ever win the Intercontinental title, yet Roberts is remembered as one of the most influential figures of his time. Often positioned in the upper mid-card, Jake's presence and aura frequently outshone even some of the top main event names. A prime example came in 1987. While playing the villain, Jake entered a feud with Hulk Hogan. But something unexpected happened. The crowd's cheers for Jake were so overwhelming that Hogan reportedly grew concerned, and WWF was forced to scrap the storyline. This moment proved that, even without a title, Jake had a magnetic pull powerful enough to sway the entire audience. What set Roberts apart was his unique promo style. He didn't yell or deliver bombastic lines. Instead, he spoke in a calm, low tone, like a cold manipulator, drawing fans in with every deliberate word. His promos felt like psychological daggers, forcing the audience to hang on to every sentence. This chilling approach made Jake stand out in a roster filled with loud and flamboyant characters. And of course, no discussion of Jake Roberts is complete without mentioning Damien, the giant snake he carried to the ring. More than just a prop, Damien became a symbol of fear and intimidation. With a snake by his side, Jake terrified countless opponents, from Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to ravishing Rick Rude, and even the legendary Andre the Giant. From 1986 through the late 80s, Jake racked up impressive wins, proving that a wrestler didn't need a championship belt to be a major star. His most infamous WWF moment came in 1991 when he turned heel again to feud with Randy Savage. The live broadcast where Jake Snake bit Macho Man is remembered as one of the most shocking and unsettling segments in WWF history, further solidifying his image as a sinister and dangerous figure. Sadly, Jake's legendary career was derailed by personal demons. Substance abuse and a self-destructive lifestyle kept him from reaching championship heights. Still, no one can deny that Jake, the Snake Roberts remains the ultimate master of ring psychology, a mid-card legend whose impact during WWF's Golden Era is timeless. Kerry Von Erich, the tragic tale of the Texas Tornado. Among the standout mid-carders of WWF's Golden Age, Kerry Von Erich, better known as the Texas Tornado, holds a special, bittersweet place. Coming from the legendary Von Erich family, Kerry was expected to carry on his family's storied wrestling legacy. Before joining WWF, he was already a huge star in world-class championship wrestling, where Texas fans revered him as a hometown hero. However, by the time Kerry arrived in WWF in 1990, he was no longer at his physical peak. A few years earlier, a devastating motorcycle accident had cost him one of his feet. To continue wrestling, he wore a prosthetic, a secret few fans knew at the time. Though he did his best to conceal it, the injury limited his mobility and changed his in-ring style. But his determination and courage only made fans admire him more. Kerry's brightest WWF moment came at SummerSlam 1990, when he shocked the world by defeating Mr. Perfect to capture the Intercontinental Championship. The arena erupted as tens of thousands of fans celebrated the victory of their unstoppable hero. Though his reign lasted only a few months, the win cemented Kerry as a legitimate mid-card star in his own right, not just someone living in his family's shadow. He went on to feud with stars like Ric Flair and Rick, the model Martell, but instead of climbing higher, Kerry began to decline. Lingering injuries, career pressures, and addiction issues gradually consumed him. In 1992, he quietly left WWF, and just a year later, tragedy struck. Kerry took his own life at the family ranch in Dallas, shortly before his 33rd birthday, another heartbreaking chapter in the so-called Von Erich curse. Though his life ended tragically, Kerry Von Erich remains remembered as a courageous warrior who battled not just opponents in the ring but also fate itself. In fans' hearts, the Texas Tornado was a powerful, fleeting force that left a lasting impression during WWF's Golden Era. Rick Martell, WWF's arrogant model. Rick Martell's run in WWF is a testament to adaptability and the ability to reinvent oneself. Before stepping into a WWF ring, Martell had already established himself as AWA World Heavyweight Champion, a title that solidified his reputation across Canada and North America. He officially joined WWF in 1986, initially teaming with Tom Zenk. Although their partnership was short-lived, it earned fan support. After their split, Martell formed a successful tag team with Tito Santana, known as Strike Force. The duo defeated the Hart Foundation to capture the WWF Tag Team Championship, marking Martell's first major triumph in the company. But Martell wasn't content to remain a tag team star. His desire to shine as a singles competitor led to a major turning point in 1989, when he betrayed Santana and turned heel. This betrayal sparked a heated feud with his former partner and opened a new chapter in his career. Martell reinvented himself as the Model, a vain, fashion-obsessed character who carried a perfume spray bottle named Arrogance. This persona turned him into one of WWF's most entertaining mid-card villains in the late 80s and early 90s. One of his most memorable moments came when he sprayed Jake the Snake Roberts in the eyes, temporarily blinding him and setting up their blindfold match at WrestleMania 7. Watching both men stumble around the ring pretending to be blind was bizarre, hilarious, and surprisingly dramatic, a segment etched in fans' memories. Martell also had other notable feuds, including a rare heel versus heel clash with Shawn Michaels. In a unique twist, both men agreed not to hit each other in the face, because their perfect faces were too precious. This storyline showcased Martell's knack for entertaining storytelling and his ability to turn even simple angles into memorable moments. Although he never reached the heights of a world or intercontinental champion, Rick Martell is still celebrated as one of the best mid-carders of WWF's golden age, proof that personality and charisma can make a lasting impact just as much as championship gold. Ricky Steamboat, the mid-card icon. Among the many names that left a lasting mark on the WWF during its golden era, no one better embodied the idea of a world-class mid-card talent than Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat. Although he was already a rising star in Jim Crockett Promotions, it wasn't until he joined the WWF in 1985 that Steamboat truly captivated audiences worldwide with his skill, charisma, and explosive in-ring performances. From the moment he arrived, the Dragon quickly built the image of a resilient warrior. He defeated several tough opponents, including Don Morocco, Matt Bourne, and Jake the Snake Roberts, proving himself as a standout figure in the mid-card scene. With his lightning-quick style, smooth technique, and emotional storytelling, Steamboat became one of the most anticipated performers every time he stepped through the ropes. The defining moment of his WWF career came at WrestleMania 3 in 1987. In his heated rivalry with Randy Macho Man Savage, the two delivered one of the greatest matches in wrestling history. Their bout not only stole the show, surpassing even the legendary main event between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, but is still widely regarded as one of the best matches of all time. Steamboat's victory earned him the Intercontinental Championship, but more importantly, it elevated the title into a symbol of elite wrestling, something only the most skilled performers could aspire to. Ironically, that glorious peak marked the beginning of his downfall in the WWF. Shortly after winning the title, Steamboat requested time off to be with his pregnant wife. Vince McMahon viewed the decision as a betrayal and swiftly stripped him of the championship. Their relationship soured from that point on. For the remainder of his WWF tenure, Steamboat was no longer given the spotlight he deserved. He was pushed into lesser roles that didn't reflect his talent or contributions. By the time he left the company a few years later, fans were left wondering what could have been had his run not been derailed. Although his WWF journey ended on a bittersweet note, Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat remains forever remembered as a symbol of wrestling excellence, the man who turned the mid-card into a stage for unforgettable performances. The Honky Tonk Man, the arrogant record-holding champion. While Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat is praised for turning the Intercontinental title into a symbol of quality matches, the man regarded by WWF as the greatest Intercontinental champion is a completely different character. The Honky Tonk Man. The reason is simple. No one has held the title longer than he has. His record-breaking 454-day reign still stands to this day. Wayne Ferris joined the WWF in 1986 portraying a knockoff version of Elvis Presley. Initially, Vince McMahon intended to push the character as a likable babyface, but fans weren't buying it. Instead of cheers, he was met with loud boos. Ironically, this rejection led to a breakthrough. Honky Tonk Man became one of the most despised heels in the mid-card, infuriating crowds with his guitar, flashy jumpsuit, and smug grin. The heel turn quickly paid off. In 1987, Honky built momentum through various feuds, most notably with Jake, the Snake, Roberts. But the true turning point came in June of that year when he challenged Ricky Steamboat for the Intercontinental title. In a shocking upset, Honky defeated Steamboat and began his legendary reign. For the next 454 days, Honky faced and escaped defeat against a string of top contenders. He wasn't a dominant powerhouse. Instead, he relied on cheap tactics, sneak attacks, interference, and the constant aid of Jimmy Hart. His underhanded methods made fans hate him even more, but they also allowed him to retain the title time and time again, even against big names like Randy Macho Man, Savage, and Brutus, the Barber Beefcake. Interestingly, WWF initially planned for Honky to hold the belt for only a short time. But when Jake Roberts, who was next in line, failed a drug test, the company changed direction. What began as a temporary solution turned into a historic year-long run that made Honky Tonk Man the centerpiece of the Midcard division. His reign ended at SummerSlam 1988 in spectacular fashion, when Ultimate Warrior stormed the ring and defeated him in just 31 seconds. It was the perfect conclusion. Sudden, explosive, and unforgettable. Afterward, Honky Tonk Man continued to appear in WWF, even teaming with Greg, the Hammer Valentine for a while. But everyone knew the peak of his career had already been cemented in history. His record-setting reign made him one of the greatest and most notorious Intercontinental champions of all time. Brutus Beefcake, from flashy dancer to the man with the legendary shears. Among the standout mid-card stars of WWF's Golden Era, Brutus Beefcake remains an unforgettable name. Born Ed Leslie, he began his career under the management of luscious Johnny Valiant, portraying a flamboyant male dancer. With his flashy appearance and colorful persona, Beefcake quickly caught the crowd's attention. His early rise led him to WrestleMania I, where he faced David Sammartino, the son of the legendary Bruno Sammartino, a golden opportunity that helped him gain widespread recognition. In 1985, Brutus formed a tag team with Greg, the Hammer Valentine, and within just a few months, the duo captured the tag team championship. Their chemistry and hard-hitting style made them one of the most formidable teams of the era. However, it wasn't until WrestleMania 3 that Beefcake experienced his career-defining moment. During the famous hair versus hair match between Roddy Piper and Adrian Adonis, Brutus unexpectedly appeared and shaved Adonis's head after his loss. That act marked the birth of a new persona, Brutus, the Barber Beefcake. From then on, the giant shears became both his weapon and his signature. Fans loved the gimmick of the Barber, dishing out punishment by cutting his defeated opponent's hair in the middle of the ring. His feuds with Honky Tonk Man and Macho Man, Randy Savage further elevated his popularity. Outside the ring, his real-life friendship with Hulk Hogan translated onto television, with the two often teaming up to face dangerous adversaries. Unfortunately, at the height of his career, a parasailing accident nearly took his life. The devastating impact shattered his entire facial structure, forcing him to undergo numerous reconstructive surgeries. Many believed his in-ring career was over, but Beefcake defied the odds and returned in 1993. Though he had to wear a protective mask, he made a triumphant comeback alongside Hogan at WrestleMania 9. Brutus, the Barber Beefcake, left his mark not only through his matches but also through a unique character that fans will never forget. In WWF's Golden Age, he proved that a creative gimmick could turn a mid-card wrestler into a lasting icon. Jimmy Snuka, from high-flying pioneer to mentor of a new generation. In the early 1980s, before Hulk Hogan became the face of WWF, the man who made the crowd erupt every time he appeared was Jimmy Superfly Snuka. With his daring high-flying offense, especially his dives from the top rope, which were revolutionary at the time, Snuka became a symbol of fearlessness and innovation. He was the top babyface of the pre-Hulkamania era, and his intense battles with Don Morocco became the stuff of legend. These matches inspired future stars, most notably Mick Foley, who has often said that witnessing Snuka's famous leap off the steel cage convinced him to become a wrestler. Snuka's spotlight began to fade when Hogan joined WWF in 1984. From being the company's top star, Superfly transitioned to a mid-card role, often used to elevate other talents. One of the most shocking moments of his career occurred on Piper's Pit, when Roddy Piper smashed a coconut over his head, knocking him out cold on live TV. This incident cemented Piper as one of the most hated villains in wrestling and reinforced Snuka's image as a valiant, tough babyface. Not long after, Snuka left WWF amid swirling controversies, including lingering questions surrounding the death of his girlfriend Nancy Argentino. Even so, his career didn't end there. He continued wrestling in AWA and later in Japan with All Japan Pro Wrestling, maintaining his hard-hitting, high-risk style. In 1989, Snooka made a celebrated return to WWF, receiving a warm reception from fans. He quickly re-established himself by defeating several notable opponents, including Ted DiBiase. However, this time his role focused more on elevating younger stars rather than chasing glory for himself. His most memorable moment during this comeback came at WrestleMania 7 in 1991, where he became the first victim of The Undertaker's legendary undefeated streak. Although his star power wasn't as bright as it once was, Jimmy Snuka's legacy remained intact. He proved that a mid-card performer could become a global icon through a distinctive style and unmatched courage. His revolutionary Superfly Splash paved the way for future generations of highflyers, securing his place in WWF history forever. Jim Duggan, the patriotic hacksaw, and the soul of the midcard. Among the key figures of WWF's midcard during its peak, Jim "Hacksaw" Duggan stands out as a true fan favorite. Before joining WWF, Duggan was already a major star in Mid-South Wrestling, where he held the heavyweight championship and was considered one of the promotion's cornerstones. His rugged look, fiery fighting style, and approachable personality helped him make a strong impression even before stepping onto the WWF stage. Duggan arrived in WWF in 1987, during the height of the Cold War. The company capitalized on his patriotic image by pitting him against Nikolai Volkov, a Soviet-sympathizing character. With the American flag waving proudly in his hand and his iconic "Huh" chant echoing through arenas, Duggan quickly became the working-class hero that fans rallied behind. His peak came in early 1988 when he made history by winning the very first Royal Rumble match. Eliminating one-man gang in the final moments, Duggan proved he wasn't just a mid-card fixture but a crucial part of WWF's evolving landscape. Around the same time, he entered a heated feud with Harley Race, with their intense weekly clashes becoming a staple of WWF programming and making Duggan a household name. Although he never reached the world title scene, Duggan maintained a solid connection with the audience. His infectious energy made every match he was part of entertaining. As the 1990s began and a new generation of stars like Shawn Michaels and Yokozuna emerged, Duggan gracefully transitioned into a supporting role, helping to elevate the next wave of talent. While his list of championships may not be extensive, Jim Duggan remains an indelible symbol of WWF's Golden Era, a simple, loyal warrior who embodied patriotism every time he stepped into the ring. Tito Santana, El Matador, and the pride of the midcard. When talking about standout figures of WWF's Golden Era, Tito Santana is a name that can't be overlooked. He was one of the most consistent and dependable mid-card stars of the 1980s, proudly representing the Mexican-American community while proving he could go toe-to-toe with anyone on the roster. 1984 marked a turning point when Tito came close to winning the WWF World Heavyweight Championship from the Iron Sheik. Although he didn't achieve that dream, he quickly made history by defeating Don Morocco to capture the Intercontinental Championship. This wasn't just a personal milestone, it was a historic moment, as Tito became the first Mexican-American wrestler to hold that prestigious title. Throughout his reign, he defended the belt fiercely against tough challengers, with his heated rivalry against Greg, the Hammer Valentine standing out as one of the most memorable feuds of that era. In 1986, Tito lost the title to Randy Savage, signaling the start of a new chapter in his career as he shifted to tag team competition. Teaming with Rick Martell, he formed Strike Force, one of the most popular duos of the late 80s. They defeated the Hart Foundation in October 1987 to win the tag team titles, solidifying their place in history. Their partnership eventually fell apart when Martell shockingly turned on Santana, sparking an intense feud that lasted for months and led to several exciting singles matches. Tito later returned to the Intercontinental title scene, taking on top names like Mr. Perfect and Shawn Michaels. Although he never regained the championship, he continued to prove himself as a tough competitor for anyone he faced. His transformation into El Matador further cemented his legacy as a resilient performer who always gave everything in the ring. At one point, there were even internal discussions about positioning Santana as the company's top babyface after Hulk Hogan's departure, but ultimately WWF chose Bret Hart. This decision became a key turning point, as Tito remained associated with the Golden Era despite continuing to perform at a high level. He was the embodiment of how deep the mid-card roster was in the 1980s. Every name contributed real weight to that golden age. Greg Valentine, the hammer of the WWF. Among the mid-card talent of the Golden Era, few were as consistent and enduring as Greg, the Hammer Valentine. The son of legendary Johnny Valentine, Greg entered WWF in the early 80s with a no-nonsense, punishing style that relied on power, painful submission holds, and a ruthless approach. While he rarely headlined major events, he was a trusted performer who delivered hard-hitting and memorable matches. One of his biggest achievements came in 1984 when he defeated Tito Santana to win the Intercontinental Championship. His reign is remembered for its brutality, as he often retained the belt through grueling, drawn-out matches that pushed his opponents to their limits. His rivalry with Santana became a classic, culminating in a steel cage match at the Baltimore Civic Center where Tito finally regained the title. Valentine also left his mark in the tag division. Teaming with Brutus Beefcake as the Dream Team, he captured the WWF Tag Team Championship by defeating the British Bulldogs, showcasing his ability to succeed in both singles and tag team competition. His methodical, heavy-hitting style wasn't flashy, but it provided the perfect contrast that made his opponents shine brighter. Though he never held the world title, Greg, the Hammer Valentine, is remembered as a pillar of WWF's mid-card scene, a workhorse who added depth, toughness, and reliability to the Golden Era. Roddy Piper, the outlaw who redefined provocation. If there's one mid-card talent whose influence rivaled that of main eventers, it's unquestionably Roddy Piper. Born in Canada, Piper joined WWF in 1984 and made his mark not through championships, but through his unmatched ability to stir up emotions on microphone. His talk segment, Piper's Pit, became a pivotal storytelling platform that shaped some of the company's most iconic feuds, making him the top heel within months. His defining moment came during his confrontation with Superfly Jimmy Snooka, when he smashed a coconut over Snooka's head on Piper's Pit. The shocking scene skyrocketed Piper's notoriety and set the standard for the loud-mouthed, boundary-pushing heel archetype. Interestingly, despite his long tenure with WWF, Piper never won the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. His only title win came in 1992, when he captured the Intercontinental Championship by defeating the Mountie. But Piper never needed belts to prove his star power. With just a mic and a few minutes, he could electrify an entire arena. Throughout the 1980s, he also participated in historic matches, most notably WrestleMania I, teaming with Paul Orndorff against Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. This bout was instrumental in catapulting WWF into mainstream popularity and laying the foundation for the WrestleMania legacy. Roddy Piper proved that a mid-carder could become a legend through sheer charisma and presence. He redefined what it meant to be a heel, blending sharp promo skills with theatrical performance, and inspired generations of wrestlers who followed. And those were the mid-card wrestlers who left a lasting legacy during WWF's Golden Era. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the exciting content coming up from Wrestling Sphere.